Where did the laws of physics come from?
I am arguing not that the evolutionary process is incapable of generating complexity. I think it totally is. You and I are in the same place here as far as the awesome
there's
way
no doubt about that, yeah.
Right. But you said that, it's happened just because of the laws of physics. I want to take this back to that step. Where did those come from?
Well, let's get to that then, because you keep getting to that, and that I believe that's a very profound. I mean, if somebody was going to convince me of the need for a God, it would be there. It would be not in my own field of biology, and I found. I mean, I've read The Language of God, and indeed I reread it today. Origin of the Physical Constants. Now that's getting warm. That's getting close to a good argument. Unlike the morality one.
Well, is that mainly because it is essentially a scientific argument?
No.
That's
it's
obviously
much
the
more
area
difficult
you're
than that.
happiest with.
It's that the physical constants, things like the speed of light, gravitational constant, and strong and weak force and things. Most physicists agree, that if you change any of those constants by even a very, very small amount, then we don't come into existence. The universe doesn't come into existence. They have to be like that in order for galaxies to form, for stars to form, for chemistry to form, actually, and then for the prerequisite for life to evolve. Needs that as well.
I'm very familiar with this argument as well, often called the argument for God from fine-tuning. It is essentially a design argument. It's saying, look at the extraordinary fine-tuning of these initial constants of the universe. If they differed from their actual value just a tiny bit, we wouldn't have a universe capable of producing life. And yet here we are. It needs an explanation. One of the explanations on the table is a designer behind the whole thing. And when you look at the extraordinary numbers we're talking about, you can see why it does, even for someone like you, Richard, you'd say that if there were an argument, it might be this one. And actually, I've heard many other atheists say that, Peter Millikan, I think Hitchens, all said, okay, that might be the one.
You might convince somebody like me to be a deist, but then you suddenly say, okay, well, because of...
he's converted. Did you hear that?
Here. because of the fine-tuning argument, either you're going to stick with the fine-tuning argument, which is a good argument, or you've got to produce a really good argument for Jesus. But don't think that because you've convinced somebody by the fine-tuning argument to be a deist, that therefore he's then got to believe in Jesus.
Where did the laws of physics come from? Critical deduction is a well-established science of cause of effect. Paintings come from painters, clothing comes from clothiers, farms come from farmers, buildings come from builders, software programs come from software programmers, murders come from murderers, designs come from designers, fine-tuning comes from fine-tuners, creations come from creators, and laws come from lawmakers. World-renowned cold case, homicide detective, best-selling author, former atheist converted Christian, J. Warner Wallace. I can take just 1% of the facts of Jesus Christ and convince any reasonable jury that he is indeed, as he claimed he is, the Son of God, God incarnate. World's most successful defense attorney, awarded in the Guinness Book of World Records, twice knighted by the Queen, former atheist converted Christian, Sir Lionel Luckhoo,